All right, guys, so 5 minutes in, let's see. And Mary, of course, is supposed I try to do stuff. I try, and I need a whole production company. Because I'm trying to stream it, but it's saying it won't let me because I don't have permissions as myself to stream. So I'll put it up and repost it later as a live stream because I can't with this. You guys know technology people are horrible at dealing with technology, and I can't seem to get my little YouTube channel to recognize that it's me. It's me. I promise. I must not have set it up in YouTube appropriately to allow me to actually go live, which is we're not even going to worry about that. But hey, everybody, I'm letting everybody in the room so everybody can talk. Again, this is our community call. Let me pull up our slides. Oh, well, where are our slides? There we go. All right. You guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right, good. All right, there we go. Let's go full. Now, understand that I am by myself today, so bear with me as far as everything going off without a hitch. It's just me. So I apologize in advance. I can never seem to get any of my streaming correct any month. This is the third month I've tried it, and it's no bueno. Everyone, welcome to the Minorities in Cybersecurity Community Call. This is Mary Cheney. You guys, I'm glad that you guys are here joining us for this particular call. I think it's going to be a really good one. It's September 27th. Listen to me, I'm messing up already. September 17th. For anybody that's catching this on the live stream, or I'm sorry, as a recording, please feel free to reach out to us with any questions that you may have after this call. It'd be well appreciated. But let's go ahead and get started. So today, here's our agenda. We're going to give an update of and of course, me being a brand person, I have to definitely brand the leadership development program, and I came up with an acronym for LEAD. So MiC LEAD is the name of the leadership development program. I apologize to all of you that are waiting on that program. I have not had an opportunity to spend as much time as I would have liked to for this individual leadership development. I am developing the curriculum myself. So, I do have like 5 or 6 other full-time jobs. No, and the semester has started. You guys know I teach at the University of Cincinnati, so it's just been delayed, and I'm gonna show you how I put myself on a timeline here. And of course, we'll have the community call, we'll have the announcements, we'll have our discussion and Q&A. Our leadership thought for today is one of my favorites. And I don't know if I've done this one before, but it's okay. It's do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, you do better. That's Maya Angelou. And that is one of my favorite quotes out there. When you know better, do better. And we're going to talk through that a lot today. So leadership development, leadership education and advancement development training is what LEAD stands for. It's in progress. So of course, I would get a phone call. I'm sorry, I apologize. So sad. I can't see. This is what happens when people leave me by myself. My IT people leave me by myself. I can't get anything right. I apologize for that. But the lead program itself, I'm in the progress of, as we discussed last month, creating the curriculum, doing it from the very beginning. Talked to a few people as potential trainers. As we talked about last month, where it's going to be an application process, and I want limited selections. I want to run our first one by January 2022. So it's just, again, a matter of me getting it done and getting the trainers lined up for the development program. If you didn't join us last week, last month, the leadership development program is more so about the exploring the difficulties that minorities and women face in this space when trying to build their careers. There are certain things, like our discussion today about salary, there are certain things certain training that we don't get. And it's important for us to understand and get that individual training. And so I wanna explore those topics in the leadership development program. So I put myself on the red, yellow, green. For those of you in corporate America, y'all be familiar with those colors. That's, if it generates a lot of conversation when you're red. So I put myself as a yellow. It's in progress. It's not green, because I'm being delayed. So I'm holding myself accountable, if nothing else. So any question about the leadership development program before we move on? Guys, or can all unmute yourself if you want.
Yes,
No?
Mary, this is Ruba.
Okay, go ahead. Mhm.
I wasn't there last meeting last month. So how long would that be? Like, how long is that program for? Can you give us a little bit more information, or at least if there is any link we could go and read about it?
No, you can't read about it again because Mary's delayed. So it's going to be the goal is for it to be a 6-month, 40-hour type of program that you go. And that's still in development as well, but I'm thinking 40 hours over 6 months, the first 6 months being classroom type of instruction, running workshops and things like that, where you're exploring your leadership development style, different topics, again, knowing your style, motivating others, and leading across teams, leading upwards and things like that. Those are the types of things that, we haven't, or at least in my own personal opinion, in my experience, the leadership development aspects of many corporations don't address some of the intricacies in dealing with unconscious bias and dealing with microaggressions and things like that. That's an added layer of things that exists for minorities and women that we want to take the time to explore and explore the challenges and how to deal with those things. So that's unfortunate. That's where we're going and what we're trying to be. Like I said, it's going to be 2 Saturdays a month. That's what I'm thinking. 3 hours, 6 hours, 2 Saturdays per month at 3 hours. So 6 hours a month for 6 months. So, and then after that, after graduation, we'll match you with a mentor and be able to follow you through for that next year in cohorts, right? One of the things that I truly believe that we need to understand is we're not alone. And so by matching, by having, like, let's say it's 10 folks, by having that group of people together, they now grow they're able to grow their career. So the lead program is actually designed for those that are in, they're actually in their career and trying to get promoted, right? And the things that you need to do to get that first promotion out of individual contributor into a management type of role. And those are the types of things that we want to focus on. Did I clarify for you, Ruben?
Definitely, thank you.
Okay, all right, great. So let's see. Our discussion topic for today. So you guys know, mostly I have these topics, and I've been hosting with Mike these calls for about 2.5 years, but with my direct mentees, I've been hosting these calls for at least 4 years now, where we just decide to come up with a topic. And it's usually reflective of what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing when I talk to my mentees, when I talk to my students now that school has started. And one thing's for sure, I think that there are lessons and ideas and things to be learned when it comes to salary, jobs, looking for a job, what type of role you're looking for. And one of the reoccurring themes that happened last month was this whole idea about base salary as opposed to what a compensation package is. So I'm going to, first of all, take this out of presentation mode. Okay, but you guys can still see it. And so I can see the attendees because I want everybody to be able to participate. And I don't know how many other people we had joining us outside of that. So let's look at the participants list to make sure everybody has the ability to talk. And everybody should be muted, even though they have the ability to talk. So yeah, all right, I got it. I think okay. All right, so you guys can still see the screen, right? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So let's talk roles. So here's one of the conversations I've had this month in regards to applying for the right role. So, and what I mean by that is, and I said, you know, the question is, are they lowballing you or you're applying for the wrong roles? A lot of times I get complaints by individuals that are in this space that the organization is lowballing them, that they got an offer and it's not aligned with, you know, industry, is not aligned with, you know, compensation overall. And my question back to many of them would be, did you apply for the right role? So, and what I mean by that, all right, so corporations, private industry, they normally, for each individual role that you can apply to, they have what's called a band, a salary band, a minimum and a maximum they're going to pay anybody that's sitting in that role. So if you are applying for an analyst role, because that's what you think you are, and you have 5 years of experience, and you're applying for a role that is, that talking numbers here, let's say they can't pay you more than $125,000. Well, if you're making $135,000, you probably shouldn't apply for that role. And it's more so like, okay, look at it from a situation where you are. And unfortunately, a lot of times what we do as minorities and women is we devalue our experience, believing or thinking that it doesn't translate or it won't translate. And then we go through the process where we interview for a role that we are qualified to do. We just don't know that that is a junior role to what we're in. So then we receive the offer and they can't offer you anything more than what that band says they're going to offer from a corporate perspective. Then you, sometimes we internalize that and not really think about it from another viewpoint. And that viewpoint being, maybe I'm just better than what what you think I am, right? Or maybe I'm not applying for the appropriate role or the correct role. So again, understand that it is important for you to get it. Now, you have in the government, GS 11, 12, 10, 9, 8, 8 through 15, whatever, you have levels and they're the same thing, they're bands. They're not going to pay you outside of that band. So when you're looking for a role, you have to understand where you are. And if you only applying for those roles that you can get, then you're, you know, don't get disappointed if it's not paying you, you know, what it is that you're worth for, what you're getting paid currently. Academia is different. I'm an adjunct professor. What I know about academia is they have literally, you know, I'm an adjunct, right? It's not salary, it's per class, it's based on credit hours, right? So I get a certain amount of money There's no negotiation going on there. It is what it is. And then you have startups and small and mid-sized businesses. If you're going for a role at a startup, we'll talk a little bit about this. They may be able to offer you more equity than they can offer you salary. And so as you're now going out and you're hunting for a role and you're hunting for a job, you have to understand what it is that you're looking for. And then where are you and where you want to go? Because your cities of the world are going to be able to pay you a lot more than, your credit unions of the world. And so although for a smaller business, you may get a broader level of responsibilities and get more experience, you're not going to get the same amount of money that you're going to get from, like I said, from a city or Bank of America, or one of the large banks or things, or even large healthcare companies. Large corporations are able to pay you more. But that doesn't necessarily mean the paying more doesn't necessarily and shouldn't necessarily drive you to a certain area, right? I mean, if okay, let me say this. If you are a person of a certain age and you are used to making a certain amount of money, by all means, don't take a pay cut. I tell people that all the time. This is not something that minorities and women should ever contemplate doing, which is taking a pay cut. It just doesn't make any sense, because heck, equal pay day for Black women was just, I don't know, it was the second week of August. So for those that don't know what equal pay day is, that is essentially the day that the dollar amount that I earned between me and a white man from January to December of last year. It took me to August of this year to make what he made last year. So, and I say he because that's the judgment. A peer situated at my equal setting, and the only difference is the color of our skin. So so taking a pay cut as an individual a minority or a woman is not something that you should entertain. However, you should understand your options, right? And understand where you're going for. I found this little thing from the Patriot software, the types of compensation, and what they have, of course, on their base pay, commissions, overtime, tip income, bonus pay, recognition of merit, benefits, stock options, and other non-cash benefits, right? So when you are looking at a role, especially if you're coming out of a role that doesn't give you everything that, well, some of these are related, like sales is commissions. If you're a regular corporate employee, you're not going to have commissions per se. But in salary, you're not going to get overtime or tip income. So some of these don't necessarily apply, but the base pay, the bonus pay, merit pay, benefits, stock options will always apply to you. Well, they should always apply to private industry jobs, right? I haven't in the, let's see, GE, J&J, Comcast, and now I work for a publicly traded organization, Asperion. Base salary, bonus, stock options, even sign-on bonus, those things were all included. And so I understand I was a director at or above when I came into my corporate career, but when I was a hiring manager, I was giving those things to folks that were, less than 5 years into their career, right? And it all depends on the company. GE was good for bonuses, sign-on bonuses, annual bonuses, and base salary. So if you're in a situation that you're not getting those things, then you need to take a pause whenever you get an offer to try to really understand the numbers behind what they're trying to tell you. And so I'm going to stop there for a second to see if there's any questions about what I'm talking about when I'm talking about roles before we start talking about the dollars and cents of it all. Applying for roles that, I mean, you see jobs out there, you see a lot of roles out there. And there are a lot of jobs out there. Heck, we just posted what, nine jobs in 2 days, right? On our website. So I do have it, and I actually have my chat open. Look at that. I'm getting better. I'm getting better at the technology. Let's see. No, Terrence, you're gonna come on out and tell the story, man. Come off the mute. Okay. Oh, you have the baby. You have the baby. You can't talk right now.
I do have the baby, and and I gotta whisper a little bit.
Okay.
But I can talk real fast. I just wanted to say that I had a recent success story through working with Mary with the tech company, and I applied for a position, went through the entire interview process. It all worked out. At the end of the interview process, I ended up getting a call, and the hiring manager, they wanted to change the position that I applied for to a senior level position. So I just felt real good about that, where although the senior level position wasn't posted, being able to go through the interview process, and they looked at my experience and talked amongst the team, they felt as if like I had some great experience, and it was a good situation for me that, I wasn't expecting them to say, hey, we're going to give you more money than what it is for the job title that you actually applied for. So that was, something that just recently happened. So just wanted to share.
That is a congratulations. And some companies are good like that. So there are companies out there that will take a look at the situation like as Terrence was in, and they will adjust accordingly because they understand talent. They understand that if I don't pay Terrence what he's worth, he's going to, once he gets here, he's going to realize his value, and we may not be able to keep him. And that's happened to me one other time in my career, where an organization came back, whether it was through a salary adjustment, and them looking at the industry, looking at where things were going. HR came back and I got a raise just based on the fact that they were adjusting salaries to the market. That right there is a great company, because you feel valued in the experience that you have, and they're paying attention, as opposed to there are companies out there will give you what you ask for, right? And I've been in those situations as well. If you do not ask for it, they will not offer it to you. They can get it on the cheap. And I've heard people say this. I've heard hiring managers say this. Oh, well, we can get them at a cheaper rate. And it's like, well, once they figure out you got them at a cheaper rate, they're not going to be loyal and they're not going to stay. And the market is just entirely too hot for you to feel that you can underpay somebody and they're going to be okay with that roles. But so Terrence, congratulations. I know you were out there looking, and I know we haven't had a chance to reconnect, but that is great news. And I applaud the organization that was able to adjust themselves accordingly. That's great. Any other? Oh yeah, that's great. Any other questions or comments regarding roles, applying for roles? Anybody have a story about feeling like they, were underbid, or they were lowballing them or anything like that? No,
I have some
I can tell
thoughts,
you.
maybe,
Okay, go ahead.
maybe
Go ahead,
later.
Ruben.
I don't know if we're going to discuss this point now or later. It's about like when you're going to an interview, I mean, you're a senior. We're not talking about entry level. We're talking about senior level, where, okay, discussing compensation at the beginning is a taboo. It's not. So many times, and I've seen this like probably 99% of the time, you don't want to tell them. They ask you, what's your salary expectations? You don't want to give them a range. And definitely, if you have a role open, you should have a range. So if I ask you about the range, they're not telling me the range. They don't, like, very few companies would tell the range. So how would you handle that situation where, okay, I want to know if this is, I mean, if you're not offering me what I want, I don't want to waste my time and I don't want to waste yours. So I think it's a brave thing to ask at the beginning, but I've had very bad luck with this. And I read a lot of people having the same thing when they discuss, like, hey, what's the range? And I'm not asking you to tell me the exact numbers at the beginning, but tell me. We don't want to waste anyone's time. So what are your thoughts on this one?
I ask, okay, so first of all, there is not a week that goes by that it happened today that a recruiter doesn't reach out to me and say, hey, Mary, we have this role, we have this senior director, we have this, that, other available. And that's the first question I asked the recruiter. From him reaching me at cold calling me on LinkedIn, what's the salary range for this role? And I have not received any pushback from me asking the range. Me asking the range is trying to let you know, because they come back and say, oh, well, and I had one come back and say, oh, well, they don't want to pay anything more than 180K. And I said, okay, sweetie, you have the wrong person because, that is so far away from where I've been and where I'm going and where I am that, it's like, no, I'm not going to waste your time in believing that this is a role for me. And it's, oh, this is a Fortune 500, da, 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 da. Yeah, no, but if I'm already getting paid more than that, then this role, based on just the salary that you're offering, can kind of give me an opportunity to understand where this role is situated in the corporate hierarchy. And if you're looking for a CISO that you're only looking to pay $180,000 to, and you're a Fortune 500 company, that's BS. Okay, so stop lying to me and move on. You're wasting my time. So I do from the very beginning. Now, what I do also is I understand the numbers, right? And I'm gonna give you guys a secret. Normally, if you are switching companies and you're going for a promotional opportunity, you take whatever you're making now, including any type of bonus, multiply that by 20%, and that's the start of your range. Yes, I said 20%. It is a known unknown that 20% when you're seeking a promotion is normally what it is, that as you graduate and as you should get 20%, 20%, 20%. That's something that I want you guys to put in your head right now. And when you're looking at a role, you're saying, okay, 20% if it's a promotion. And then my question will always be to you, what is that lateral move going to do for you? Okay, if we're in it to create leaders, if we're in it to get promoted and to start embedding ourselves in this leadership role, what's the lateral move about? And if it's lateral, and you can tell it's lateral if it's the same money that you're getting right now, right? And so if it's the same, if they call it a senior director and you're an analyst and the salary is the same, then from a translation perspective, they're the same role, from a corporate hierarchy perspective. And that it really, 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 really all depends on, again, corporate, government, academia, whether it's small, mid-sized companies, startups, and things like that. So you have to go in. It is your job to go in with a number in your head, right? You need to understand, okay, well, if they can't offer me 20, how are we going to make this up? Because once you get the offer, you're in the perfect position. You're in the perfect position once you receive the offer to ask for what you want. And they're not going to take away that offer just because you want to negotiate. And always negotiate. Don't ever take that first offer unless it's just amazing. You come to me and you offer me 1.2 million, then I probably ain't got nothing to say. Okay, thank you, and move on. But if that's not, if that's not the case, then we're gonna negotiate, right? So, questions from what I said there. No. So let's talk the numbers, right? And this is one of the things that, especially my folks over in the DC area, um, because you guys get in that DC area, I get in that government space, you get in the government contracting space, and the government doesn't offer bonuses. I worked for the FBI. I didn't get no, well, I got some merit pay because, being a rock star FBI agent as I was, but they have bands, right? So they're not gonna, there is no quote unquote salary bonus. Corporate America can give you an annual bonus target, right? And so when you are in the government space and you're getting a base salary, and the base salary is all you're getting, when you are now looking at an offer from somebody else, you have to do the math, because I put this in the newsletter this month, when we were talking about, if you're making $100,000 in base salary, no, I said 115, doesn't matter. Let's say you're making 125 in base salary, and then you get an offer at $115,000, but they give you base salary, they give you a annual bonus target, and we'll talk about targets and bonuses. We'll talk about that in a second. They'll give you a cash sign-on bonus, which is also cash, and they'll give you stock options, which is equity, right? And could potentially be better in the long run. So salary is just that base salary. You have what's called a bonus target. So whether it be 10, 15, 20, 25%, it's usually when they're offering you a bonus, there is a target. So they say, okay, you'll get 20% unless something goes horribly wrong with the company. So that's usually, and it's Mary interpreting, her years of experience. As long as your performance meets the level that from your performance review, you're normally going to get your targeted bonus, unless the company had a bad financial year. And then that's when they kind of sort of adjust the bonus. There are ways that can go up and down from a merit perspective, but usually if they say you're not going to get a quote unquote guaranteed bonus, you're going to get a bonus target, right? No company, well, I haven't been in a role where I was guaranteed, I haven't been high enough where I was guaranteed a particular bonus, but it's always a target. So that's part of your compensation. It usually, once a year, but if it's, 20% or 15% of your annual salary, that's a $15,000 or whatever the numbers are, that's added to your salary that you just get at as a chunk. And some companies will give not only because this year for my company that I'm in now, I have my salary bonus, but I also got a stock option bonus, right, in the summer. And so that was a surprise. I understand that, and that was rare. That's the first time I was able to get one of those. But they did offer, an additional equity bonus, and so that's part of that package. So when we start talking about, so we talk salary, talk annual bonus, we talk about stock options. Everybody basically is company stock, right? And there are multiple types of companies. There's the grants, right? Usually they'll either give you a dollar amount, let's say $15,000 in stock options, right? And so let's say, you buy, you're at the time it's $10, right? And you get $15,000 worth of $10 stock in your company. And then at the end of the year, the stock is worth $20, where you have just added for per share, 10 extra dollars to the stock that you own, right? It's not usually one-to-one. Usually stock options are attributed to the time that you spend in the company. So they're not going to give you all your stock options up front. I don't know if anybody has had this experience besides myself. They're not going to give you your stock options up front. They'll give you $15,000, but the first vesting schedule may not be put until the first year. Okay. And so usually there's an annual component to it. So it's like, okay, we're going to give you 15,000, but we're only give you 5,000 the first year, 5,000 the second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, 5-year vesting schedule, right? And so it's based on how long you are with the company. Your vesting schedule is tied to that. I've seen annual vesting schedules. I've seen quarterly vesting schedules, and I've seen at the corporate level, at the executive level, the ability to negotiate when that vesting schedule happens. That's also a negotiation point. When you're a real rock star and you're up there very high, you can negotiate when my stock options vest instead of an annual, just say 6 months. So then I'm getting my money faster. Right. And so those stock options are things that you have to actually look at. And if you're, not at the position, I mean, I was giving stock options to entry level folks at GE. I mean, my most junior folks was getting 5,000 in equity. Right. But that was, of course, they're probably not doing that right now. GE is not the GE of old. Right. But those are the types of things that are out there that when you're comparing apples to apples, when you're comparing what you're getting paid now to what you're being offered, you may want to just take a pause and realize, that just because, you're making 125,000 and the offer is 115 doesn't mean you're not coming out on top based on all the other things that they're giving you. Compensation package also includes vacations. It also, the time off. What else we got? We talked about bonus and base pay and everything like that. So, and your benefits, of course, benefits are very, very, very important. So stop there. Questions? Raise your hand if you want to talk or just come off mute. Anybody? Anybody had the experience of trying to negotiate with all these things, or are we still on base salary? Nobody has negotiated anything other than base salary. You can't. That's not true. That's not true. I mean, the only person that can say that honestly is Sarita. Sarita's still in college, so she hasn't had the opportunity yet.
I've done Mary, but not, to be honest, I haven't put much emphasis other than on base pay. I always kind of like took whatever they gave for a compensation for all of the like commission over, well, we didn't have overtime, no tip, a bonus, whatever they gave, stock, whatever, all the other non-base related, I did not negotiate, to be honest, just the base salary. Now I know better.
So when you're talking negotiation of the base salary, are you asking for cash? Or are you dollar amount or percentages?
Dollar.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you a little trick as well. So whenever they give you your offer, right? One of the things that you need to do is attach not just a dollar amount. So I'm not asking for $15,000. I'm asking for 10% because this is based on whatever research that you've done, right? And if it's percentages, it's I just find that, usually HR folks are more inclined when you're able to add, like I would take cost of living into consideration. I would take commuting into consideration. I would take, if I was in an area of the country, like in the New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, DC area, then there's a certain level of money that I'm asking for more because I have to deal with the cost of living adjustments. So if let's say I'm in Texas, I'm in Dallas, Texas right now, perfect example. Dallas, Texas is cheap. Texas, the property is cheap. um, the there's no state taxes, right? And I don't have a commute because I work from home. All right. So if someone's going to come and try to offer me a role, we're going to have to talk about exactly, is it in person? Am I going to have to come out of my house? I'm sitting in my office right now. I'm sitting in my home right now. And if so, that is a additional level of stress, because that's adding gas expenses, there's adding stress, there's adding, potential, not babysitter, they're old enough now, but before, babysitter expenses because I'm not home when my children get home. And then, and then we're talking, I don't have any state taxes, so I'm not relocating. So I'm not leaving Texas. I'm not leaving Texas anytime soon. So when I am personally, based on my personal situation, looking at another opportunity, there are just certain things that I'm going to have to ask. I'm not, even here locally, even in Dallas. Like I live in Mansfield, which is actually nearer to Fort Worth, in the Metroplex. So all of these companies that you hear about that are moving to the Dallas area, they're located in Plano. Now, Plano is an hour away from me. So even locally, if they're in Plano, that's questionable from my perspective, because it's like, no, I don't want to add the commute. So those are all the things, those are some things that, when we're talking about if someone's going to give me an offer that I'm looking at, you guys have to, when you come back to an organization and you're like, okay, well, one of the things is if they're not paying you more than what you're getting paid now, there's a hard, there's a big old hill that they're going to have to climb in order to attract you to this organization to begin with. If they are offering you in this parity there, you need to say, okay, well, is it meet my 20%? Okay, if this is this a promotion? Am I now a higher? Am I actually a manager now? I'm a people leader now. What areas of responsibility do I have that I don't have now? And now look at it from that perspective and go back with a understanding within yourself, and being able to articulate to HR why it is that you're asking for this particular percentage increase in whatever that offer was. Does that make sense? Yes, no?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So let's talk equity, right? And so you guys are out there, and there are so many different roles out there, and you have these startups out there, right? Startups have the ability to give you equity in or ownership in the company more than they have the cash to give you. So when you are looking at an opportunity at a startup, when you're looking at an opportunity that at a small and mid-sized company, they're not tech usually, unless they're funded very well, going to be able to offer you the same amount of money, but they can offer you equity. Percentage amount in the company, 1 to 5%, in ownership within the company. So the thought process when you're analyzing those types of roles, you have to be like, okay, what's the likelihood? What product do we have? Those at Coinbase got off, right? I mean, the thing is, once they went public and the stock shot up, that equity shot up, and the salary doesn't matter if I go from making $100,000 a year and I have, but they offer me 2% ownership within the company. Once the company goes public, boom, and you cash that out, cash out your equity. And then, there you have that makes up for, quote unquote, being underpaid. But that's the situation where you have to really believe in this is like getting Apple stock or working for Apple at the very beginning, or working for, one of these Microsoft or Google or something at the very beginning when they didn't have any money. Now the darn stock is out off the charts, right? And so you have to look at, if you're taking a role like that, the technology, what's the likelihood that you're going to be able to recoup on your investment? That if I take this hit in salary, what's the likelihood that in 5 years I'll be better off than I was if I take that money? I just want to get you guys out of the mindset that the only thing that you should be thinking about is your base salary. I understand we all, live our lives at a certain level based on the salary that we get. However, there are other aspects to it that we don't get to learn when we are talking to different areas of the field, when in different jobs in the field. And so in hopes of, striking some sort of thought process within you guys that it's not just base salary. What else are they offering? And then on the other hand, if they are, and if you do feel like, they're not offering me enough based on what I can get in the market, then you need to, apply for larger roles, in other words. So I think we have 10 minutes, and I do leave 10 minutes for questions. And any money questions that you guys, that I was trying to find somebody that was doing this, but I couldn't. But any money questions that you guys have, offers, any questions about salary negotiations in general, we're open. I can give you the experiences that I've had, and I've done these multiple times. So you have me for 10, now 9 minutes. What say you, audience? No questions? Everybody know how to negotiate salary? Nobody's feel awkward? How about negotiating a raise? Anybody had that opportunity? You give you your 2%. How do you get more from a company that you work for? Or can you, other than the 2-3%?
That would be an interesting one, Mary, because I've never, again, I've never done it. I've never heard many people did it. Maybe because people need to be more brave in, you see a lot of people in their like same role, whatever the company gives them, they go with the flow. They go with whatever they give them, even though they've been there in, let's say, 10 years. They don't ask for a raise. So that would be an interesting part.
Yeah. Okay, I got an anonymous question from someone. How do I find out how much a raise would entail? I hesitate to ask my coworkers. First, I think that the question is whether or not you feel like you are equally situated to your peers, right? So if you feel like you and the person sitting next to you are making the same amount, I can guarantee you companies are cheap. 2-3%, that's all they really want to give you. And if you're not stating your case in regards to the work that you've done, this is where we talked about performance reviews, I think earlier in this year, and setting those SMART goals and everything else. You have to tie your work and what you're doing from a work perspective to, delivery internally, and whether or not you're meeting stretch goals and doing those things. However, if you're in a role, because I've had this happen to me. I've had this happen to me as a hiring manager. I had an employee, because I was hiring people that made more than this person was. And she asked me, she's like, well, I know so-and-so is getting paid this amount of money above me. And I looked at her dead in the eye, and I said, it is so hard to get a raise when you're in a company. They own you, and you either have to take what they give you, or you have to be willing to walk away from this job, because getting them to pay you is going to be very difficult. At the time of the offer, if you knew at the time that you accepted the offer that it was low, you can't now come in there and ask for more. And I have an example, my own example of that. However, so if you can't talk to your coworkers, go check it out in the market, right? And look at what people that are in your role currently are making, and from a public information perspective. And then, say to HR, say to your boss or whatever, have you guys done a salary adjustment or salary readjustment based on the role, right? And that's the only way I've seen it done. So I'll give you an example. My first corporate role coming out of the FBI. So this is what they did to me, and I would never do it again. This is why I don't do it today. The hiring manager or the recruiter came at me during the interview process and asked me what my salary range was. And I gave them a range, not really knowing better. I came out of the government, right? And, first time negotiating a contract, a salary. And I'm like, okay, well, I took what I was making in the government, and I decided to, this is what I would be comfortable with based on what I'm living and where I'm living, right? And so I gave them a range. We get into it. I get the offer, and I wanted to negotiate. My boss told me that the HR would not negotiate past what I asked for initially. And so whatever they gave me, the highest part of the band, of my range that I asked for, but I was still underpaid by $50,000, $60,000. And that was my fault because I didn't know any better. But it never happened again. I figured it out because once you're a hiring manager and you start hiring people, you get access to salary bands and you get access to all of this information. And so I knew at that particular point that I was like, doggone it. And I said, I will never do that again. So that's why I say go in with a strategy initially and say, okay, this is 20% of what I make now, right? And start there. And that's the lower end of your range, and go and work from there. If they can't pay you, they'll come back and say, we can't pay you that much. But you don't want them to say, okay, and then you still be $50,000, $60,000 underpaid like I was in that first role. I see one more, I see a question or comment. You could look at the market in your industry and base it on or ask for a market adjustment. Yes, you can. Some companies will, some companies will not. That's ultimately, the larger companies that get it, they can do that, and you can ask for it. And I've always, from a salary perspective, accepted the little 2-3% that they give me because I wasn't underpaid going in. So I'm okay with what you're paying me because I'm not underpaid going in. So, and that's why I say stick to your guns when you have that first initial offer, and don't believe that if you negotiate, they're going to take that role away. They will tell you if they can't pay you. They say, oh, we can't pay you that much. And then that's when you'll get, this is the highest a dollar amount we can for this particular band or this particular role. We got time for one more question. If there's a question out there, we had a good discussion today. I think I kept talking too much. Once I decided I wasn't going to worry about the live stream. Anything else? I think we could probably go on with this. I think I may add a session of this in the the leadership development program, Mike lead, just mainly because it's a lesson that I didn't go. The question, one last question, what is the reasonable amount to expect for raises, bonuses in your experience? It all depends on your role. It all depends on where you are in the corporate hierarchy, right? Executives get paid more, period, in the discussion. And so bonus, usually, you know, somewhere between, if you're entry level, 10 up to 25%, depending upon where you are. I've seen it 10, 10, 10, 15, 20, and 25. 25, of course, being executive team level bonus. 25% of your salary is what you get annually as a bonus. And then all the way down, like I said, to 10%. So a reasonable amount depends on the company, right? And it really depends on, are you talking about a small company? Are you talking, you know, mid-size? Are you talking large company? Are you talking equity? Or are you talking cash? You know, if they can't give you the cash, can they actually give it to you in stock options, right? And so again, how you're doing this calculation and bringing out that calculator to say, okay, maybe they're not actually, you know, trying to get over on me. Maybe this is worth me taking the time out and not dismissing it offhand. So hopefully you guys got something out of this and you're able to now be a little bit more informed. Of course, I'm always around to assist. Well, I'm around to assist if you pin me down. you just gotta send me an email and say, hey Mary, pay attention, I need you. And I'm there. And I really hope that you guys have a wonderful weekend. And if there's anything that I can do for you guys in the future, just let me know. All right.